Hi. So I'll try to keep this one short. So I wasn't really planning to make this audio. I'm a bit sick. Not too much, just some cold, sore throat. And I'm working on my projects, and I'm enjoying it. It's a fun process, which I'll talk about now. Also, it's morning, and some vehicles are like passing by, so I know I'll have to edit this one. I might have to edit this one pretty heavily, so I'm trying to keep this one short, but I have to talk about some stuff. So the main reason I'm making this audio, I'll mention in the end because it's the most exciting one. But I'll start with some more fun stuff. Um, One of my friends mentioned going to Hawaii, and honestly, the only reason I'm mentioning it is because I've heard the word Hawaii, right? It's a place. I know people go there to spend the vacation. The the main reason I know about Hawaii is from the anime called Shinchan. I would call it more of a cartoon than an anime because it's actually made for kids. And honestly, I always thought Hawaii was a Japanese place because, and I think it's American. I'll just check because honestly, it sounds like it is it's a part of United States. It sounds not American, but more importantly, I always saw it in Shinchan, which is set in Japan. So I just never made the connection. And there's this character called Sunio. If you don't know Shinchan, it's like a very popular anime which is translated in Hindi as well. It's like one of the main cartoons children watch over here. And there's this character called Sunio who is supposed to be like this rich kid who always shows off, and he always talks about going to Hawaii. And I never realized that, oh yeah, it could be that he goes to a different country to spend his vacation, and that's why he keeps talking about it again and again. But yeah, I think I mentioned this, but I did finally buy a cheap copy of hard 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 copy of Pride and Prejudice. I'm considering redoing the whole series, so reading the book from the start, which would be fun. So yeah, let's see. Okay, so I'm trying not to give away too much about my project. Train noises, by the way, if you can hear that. But I'm trying to not give away too much about my project. I kind of want to keep it secret and maybe share when something better is available. But for now, I'll say that I have been watching a lot. I have been watching a lot of videos for research, watching a lot of videos, reading a lot of articles. I'll mention a little bit of a sad, serious thing. I was actually not planning. I was actually planning to record another audio which would be much more serious than this one, but it's fine. I think I can mention it here. So one of the articles was that basically staging of homicide, which is basically hiding the fact that a murder is a murder by disguising it as a suicide or an accidental death. And a lot of the cases, and by the way, just in case you didn't know, femicide is the word used for a female homicide, usually specifically for the person's gender. And there hasn't been a lot of a study, but in a lot of cases of femicide, the investigation is done very poorly, which is uh, which is very sad, to be honest. But yeah, okay, so this is the last thing I'll talk about, which is not light-hearted. So I've been watching, I mean, depends on your perspective, I guess. But I've been watching a lot of these videos of interrogation, and I came across this one particular. First of all, this channel. This channel is insane. It's called Crime Circus, and this guy dresses up like a clown and just he gets all these very cool like interrogation videos, right? Which, if you didn't know, you can literally just get videos, like get police interrogation videos, because they are, excuse me, they come under like um right to information or something. At least in India it's called right to information act. I'm not sure what it's called in the USA. It's strange because usually whenever I write something or make a game or something, it's usually set in USA. I guess because I consume most of my media there, so I also tend to write characters and fiction that makes sense in USA. So I'm also watching USA interrogations. I'm not even sure if I can find Indian interrogations. So these guys subtitles all of them, which is very useful for me because the audio quality is just trash. But the fun part is that this guy gets these videos, subtitles them, does a great job. But in the middle of the video, he'll just show up with this clown makeup and candles all around him, and he'll just say, "Hello guys, if you like the video, please subscribe." So it's just hilarious. And one of the videos, okay, so here is, it's a bit of a dark humor. Uh, I'll just what do you call it, warn you. But there's this video of this police officer who's being interrogated. Now the story goes like this. The video goes like this, and it's so funny because it unfolds in such comical fashion. I just kept laughing during the whole thing. So there's this guy who is supposedly a police officer, but you don't really know exactly who he is, because the video starts and there's no introduction or anything. So he's just sitting there. After like 10-15 minutes, two investigators come, and it's a very interesting procedure because, you know, the presence of a lawyer, you have to first agree. Like, if you don't agree, then they literally won't ask you any questions. So if you agree to talk, and they like coax you into talking very interestingly, like they'll manipulate you in very interesting ways and try to get you to talk. And they really like try to make you as comfortable as possible, make you as vulnerable as possible. It's hilarious. So um this guy, right, he's just sitting there, he's sitting in a hospital gown, and these police officers come, these two investigators come and start talking to him very casually, right? They're like, "Okay, are you fine? Let's sit down here, so and they start asking like very basic questions, like, okay, you and Lucky, so these are two people, right? So we find out the name. Mike is the person who is being interrogated, and Lucky is someone who went with him. So they ask him, "Okay, you and Lucky, you guys went to this place. When did you go? What time did you go? What flight did you catch?" Etc. etc. And he is answering all of them like very casually, right? He's like very chill during all of this. And during, as they ask questions, they're asking, "Okay, so you guys went there, yeah, you went to went to this place, got some food, came back, drank some vodka, you guys watched football, then what happened?" And he's like, he's saying sometimes, "Oh, we watched football," or whatever. And then he suddenly says, "Okay, I know you guys are asking questions, but can I ask you a question?" And they say, "Yeah, sure." And he says, "So this is a homicide investigation. Who is dead?" And they said, "Lucky." And there's like a silence in the room for like 1 minute. And he just says, "Hmm." And then both the investigators are like awkwardly sitting there. Only one of the investigators is really talking. The other one is just sitting there watching the whole thing. And then one of them just the same guy who's talking just musters some courage up and says, "Yeah, so we are just trying to figure out what happened, and what was the last thing you remember?" And Mike again just says, "Hmm." and then some silence again, and then they start asking questions. So what is the last thing you remember? So I said, I don't remember anything after that. uh, can you tell me what you remember? So uh, they say, yeah, sure. No, he asked like, what do you know, like what happened, and they say, yeah, sure, we'll tell you. So they go on to say that after that there were some noise complaints. The complainant said that you guys are not like fighting or anything, you're just laughing, having fun, whatever. So but you're being loud, so he complained. Someone came and asked what is happening, can you keep it down? Lucky answered the door and said, yeah, we can keep it down. After some time, uh, another complaint came from someone else because the first guy got moved out because they were just continuing to being loud. This time, the person said that there was some grunting and grumbling and stuff, and um, you know, the last thing they heard was someone saying mic stop," and then the noise just stopped coming. So some person came, they knocked a lot, didn't nobody opened the door, so they used their car to get in, and then they see, and just warning if you are listening, and from here it gets a bit darker. So they see Mike on top of Lucky, whose face has been beaten, and Mike is just sitting there on top of his chest on the ground, and someone goes up to him, moves him, and he falls face down and gets some bruises. So they say that's where the bruises on your lip come from. And during all of this, Mike is just sitting there, just nodding. And after all of this has been said, he just says, hmm. And then there's silence. And then says, so you're telling me Lucky is dead? And the detective just look at each other and say, yes. And he just goes, hmm. And from here on, the detective just keep asking questions like, so do you know anything like what could have happened? And he says, no idea. I have no idea what could have happened. And they at one point mentioned like everyone in your department, all of us are confused what happened because you guys were like brothers. And that's another point that I just find so funny for no reason. I know it's not funny, it's a serious matter, I know it, but I just can't help but find it funny that the way it unfolds is just so unfortunately funny. I'm not sure what to say because the first you just don't know what has happened, right? And it doesn't seem like a big deal, it doesn't seem like a murder at all, especially because I was watching the video without reading the title. Then you find out that he's a pretty important like chief person in the office or whatever, and then you find out the person who has been murdered is their head. And then you find out that it wasn't really a investigation at all, it was more just trying to get confession because it was very clear who killed whom. And he's just during all of this he's just acting oblivious. I mean, not acting, I guess, because it seems like he was drunk and just blacked out. He just actually doesn't have any memory, but who knows. And at the end you just also find out that they are like super close friends, or they were like super close friends. I'm not sure, it's just so out of pocket, which I don't know actually what the meaning is. Out of pocket, I need to out of pocket meaning. I apparently I've searched this before. Acting unnaturally or inappropriately. Yeah, it's just so weird. But yeah, so this is what I've been doing. I'm just going down this rabbit hole of, again, all for research. I'll tell you what I'm doing. So I'm watching these videos, making notes of what the people are saying, and breaking the sentences down. I'm basically using it to learn my version of English grammar. Obviously, I'm not learning how to speak, but it's related to a programming issue that I'm sure I'll have later down the line. So I'm just preparing for that in advance. Uh, Let me see, because I'm sure I had more to talk about. This is not the final thing. Okay, I guess I'll talk about it. So one of my friends asked about a fair, uh, estate fairs in my city. You call them Meena Bazaar. I'm not sure if this is a common word across India, but because the common word is Mela, but I grew up calling them Meena Bazaar. They're basically small fairs, carnivals. Basically, people would come. There will be carnival games, small thrift shops. Not thrift. I don't. I believe thrift is thrift, especially specifically second-hand clothes or shops. Yeah, it is second-hand household goods. So it's not thrift shops, but they are like very cheap shops basically where you can buy some cool stuff. My history with them has been that I loved going to them before I moved out of home to go to college. I used to go every year and I used to go there multiple times. My favorite were the balloon shooting mini game, which the guns are not that good. Like sometimes the bullet would just. I'm not sure what that was. I'm sorry if you heard that. Hope that was not harsh to your ears. Something burst outside, like a balloon or something. Very coincidental. But the guns aren't that good. Like sometimes the bullet would just bounce off the balloon without bursting it. I guess the balloons were bad, not the guns, because if the balloon is like not fully inflated, yeah, makes sense. It would just bounce off. But I loved it. It's still one of my favorite. I didn't. Yeah, it's still one of my favorite carnival games. And other carnival games as well. It's fun to play them. They're a bit expensive, but it's still they're fun to play. Food is nice. There's some cool food that you can get there. My other favorite would be to buy magic trick items. I would love to see all the magic trick, like they would sell like gimmicks and stuff, gimmicked cards, and they were very cheap, very bad quality, but still it's fun to have those things, right? I have bought a whole magic kit once, which would teach you like magic tricks. They're decent, they're not bad. They would have some box of gimmicks basically. I bought some other stuff, but some year they would come, some year they won't, and every year they didn't come. That was just a disappointment. The other thing are rides. Obviously, there are a lot of rides in the carnival or in the fair, whatever you want to call them. I described few of the rides that were common back in the day. There's Ferris wheel, obviously. Then it's not a very big Ferris wheel. It's like 3 floors high, probably three. So 3 floors in Indian terms, which is there is ground floor, then there is first and second and third. So I guess you would say fourth floors in American standard or something like this. I'm not very sure actually. But anyways, yeah. So as I was saying, I also realized I should be recording in stereo, whereas I'm recording in mono because I recently started compressing my audio. I'm not gonna go into it. I promise myself I won't rant about audio again, but then just suddenly came to my mind. But anyways, yeah. So there's Ferris wheel, obviously. There is this I'll actually search for it. So it's basically we call it break dance. I'll actually copy. So it's I think if you look up teacup ride, you'll find it. Spinning cup ride, teacup ride. We used to call it breakdance. Instead of cups, for us it was small like bumper cars. They just look like bumper cars. They are not actual bumper cars. It's basically a spinning. If you just search teacup rides, you'll know what I mean. But it's basically a spinning disc with more spinning discs in it, and each spinning disc has like 4 bumper cars or 4 teacups, which are also spinning in their own place, and they would spin like very 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 fast, and that was very fun for me. Now, having said this, I'm a person very much afraid of heights and extremely afraid of rides. This is the only ride that I enjoyed. I told you the Ferris wheel is not very big, and I sat on it once, and the whole time I was screaming, and I swore to God I will never ever, never ever ride the Ferris wheel again. So I'm afraid of these dumbass rides. I cannot imagine sitting in a roller coaster or something. It would just kill me. Like, it would actually just kill me. I don't have the courage to sit on these things. And just looking at them scares me. I'm not sure how people ride them and have fun. So I have ridden a Ferris wheel once. I've ridden another one of these like dumbass or a huge moving. As I said, the breakdance one is fine because it's like connected to the ground. I think I am fine with that because you can't fly off. It's you just hold on to something and you'll fine. But so this year, I was not interested in going to the fair this year. And when I was younger, I would always go to the fairs, and I had a uncle who would go with me. Uh, and again, using the word uncle a bit liberally, it's more like my father's friend. And he was very young. He was like almost older brother to me, and he would like basically go ride with any rides with me just for my safety. I know it doesn't make sense. It's like, if you're worried about safety, why would you ride on the same ride? Because if something happens, that doesn't, it doesn't make sense. Both of us get hurt. But it's basically a, I don't know, trust thing. I get that, oh, I'll come with you, right? So it's basically an unsaid rule. If a child is to sit on a ride, you have to have a companion with you, otherwise you're not allowed to sit. So I always had someone, like I never worried about like someone saying no to me on a certain ride. There was also this ride called boat, which was a huge boat which is go up and down, and it almost like flipped horizontally. I just hated it as well. So this year I was not, like, pretty much not interested in going to any rides, right? And I'll also say this. Should I say this? I'll say this. I was trying to not mention my sister a lot in the audios recently because I thought like, okay, this is like an adult space talk. I shouldn't probably mention my sister considering she's not old. But I have to make an exception here, which is she wanted to go to the fair. And I know that she, for the past couple of years, hasn't really had a lot of fun going to these fairs because there's no one to sit with her, and she always goes to these like children rides basically and goes alone. So I thought I'll give her company. Like, my mother and she were going to go alone. I said ki you don't need to go because my mother is quite old, so she's not really fit to go. And I said you don't need to go. I'll go with her. And my sister was taunting me the whole time, like the whole uh, on our way to the carnival. She was like, oh, you're leaving your personal space and your what do you call it, your comfort zone for me, wow. And it was so irritating. But when we reached there, we had some fun. She was buying some stuff, jewelry and stuff. We went to this shit, just absolutely garbage 3D, quote unquote 3D show. She was so excited for it. She was like, oh, this is a haunted house. And I am tired of telling her that this won't be as good as you think. So I just didn't say anything and we just went. And we spent like, what, $2, I guess? That would be $2-3, both of us combined. And it was just not worth it. It was one of the worst things ever seen because it's, first of all, nothing is aligned properly. So our heads hurt with the glasses, like the 3D glasses. I wear glasses, so I had to wear glasses on top of my glasses. But even her head was hurting. And the things that were showing were just random 3D clips, like they had no connection whatsoever. So very disappointing. But lastly, she pointed to a ride and said, I want to go on this ride. And I'll try to describe the ride to you as best as I can. Before I do, I just want to say that I'll also post a video of the ride on my Instagram or something. So if you want to check that out, you can check it out on the comments, or if you're watching this on YouTube, this will probably show up right now in the video, which is 24 minutes 25 minutes basically in the video. So if you want to later come back and watch the video of the ride, you can just go to 25 minutes and you'll see the video. So as I was saying, I'll try to describe the ride to you. Think of I'm trying to think of how to describe it. So there are 5 seats, okay, all very close together, 5 chairs basically, and not 5, like there are 10 chairs, okay. So there's a row of 10 chairs, and then just behind them there is another 10 chairs, and they're back to back. So if the ride is full, then there are 10 people facing one direction, and then 10 people sitting facing the other direction, and the backs are touching each other, not touching, but like, you know, the chairs are like that, so they are basically sitting back to back. Now this whole cylinder basically, right, so there's basically people facing the front and facing the back. Now this whole thing is on a pendulum type of thing. You can think of this as, a Ferris wheel is a good example. So think of a Ferris wheel that only has one seat, right? So it doesn't have all of the seats, it only has one seat, and instead of being like for 2 or 3 people, it's for 10 people. So it's a wide Ferris wheel, and the whole thing rotates just like a normal Ferris wheel, you know, it goes up and down, but instead of going slowly, it goes fast. It goes so fast that the whole thing flips over, including the chairs. So you know how in a Ferris wheel, when you're at the top, you are, you know, sitting normally, like you are facing you are straight up basically. In this ride, when you're up, you might be facing normally or you might be upside down, so revolving on your own axis as well as in the whole Ferris wheel kind of motion. I'm not sure how well I explained it to you, but it was one of the worst experiences in my life. I did not say no to her. We sat together, and as soon as we sat down, she was like, "Are you sure about this?" And I was like, "No, obviously not. I never wanted to ride this." And she's like, "Oh, it will be fine." And as soon as the ride started, I closed my eyes and I did not open my eyes for the entire ride. And the entire ride was a torture. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. The tooth cleaning, that doesn't compare to this at all. First of all, these are not that well made rides. They don't look safe. I was worried for my life the whole time. I was worried for my sister even more. I was like, if something happens to her, I'm dead. And the whole time, the ride is so fast, you have to hold on to these like metal bars. I mean, you don't have to hold on, like they're pretty secure, but still I was holding on to them and I just didn't make a sound the whole time. Everyone is screaming, I'm just silently sitting there clutching my eyes as strongly as possible, just holding on for my life. And it's just swiveling again and again, and every time I think it's going to stop, it just keeps going on for like another minute. And it just went on for so long, and so many times it would just, I would think like, okay, this is enough, like this has to be enough, and it would just go on, flip us the whole way, like just 360 flips over and over and over again. My stomach was not feeling great after that, but more than that, I constantly felt that I'm just going to fall off and just pass away. You have no idea how scared I was the whole time. I already have a fear of heights, not to this degree, like I can manage standing in high buildings or something, but if I look down or if I feel unsafe, it's very scary. I think that's natural. But the I mean, I'm just blanking out. One of the most common nightmares I have is of falling down from a high place, which I enjoy because it's a nightmare, it's a dream. But not only falling down, but in my nightmares, I always, once I fall down, I'll go back up and I'll bounce back up. And I know it sounds fun, but it's not fun at all, because, you know, if you fall down and just don't survive, you don't survive, that's done. But if you have to do that again and again, it's like torture basically. you have to endure the whole way down and then way up as well. Like whenever in my dreams, I always try to hold on to something just to make sure that I don't fall again, and it just keeps happening. So it's like a constant like terror basically. And this ride was the real life version of this. I I like my sister after the ride finally stopped, she was like, "Are you okay?" Because I'm pretty sure you could just see on my face that I was just dead inside. Like all the blood from my veins have been just dried up. And it was the most. I'm sorry, a vehicle passed by. I also took the opportunity to drink some water. But it was one of the most torturous, painful experience I've ever had. And on top of this, the ride was so intense that my back is now hurting. This morning, my sister was like, "Is your back hurting? Or are your shoulders hurting?" I was like, "No, I'm fine. Why?" And she was like, "No, my shoulders are starting to hurt." And I was just making fun of her. But now my entire back is hurting as well. It was it was an experience. I would say it was a near death experience, but it was an experience for sure. I'm never going on a ride ever again. I don't care. I think this has to be the worst ride in my life. I think she has to be content with this no matter what. Because I'm not letting her ride that again, and she's not going to have anyone else who is going to approve, because if I didn't go with her, there's no way she's getting on the ride. After we came back home, I showed the video to my parents, and both of them were like, "Yeah, we are not letting you get on this ever again." So I think she had fun at least, which is also insane. How like this girl has no self-preservation or no survival instincts at all. Just enjoyed the ride and came back. That, how do you do that? Like that doesn't make sense to me. It's it's such a draining experience. It doesn't matter if you had fun. After that, you're just tired. But yeah, that was my story. I was happy the whole time that okay, at least I got a story out of it to tell someone. But I mean, I'm not sure it was worth it. But if you enjoyed, I guess it was somewhat worth it. But as I said, and I was planning to have this like 15 minutes or something. It just went overboard. But yeah, I'm not gonna have this any longer because I don't wanna. I let me check actually. So I'm actually also happy. I got a new subscriber in YouTube, and I think I got a new follower in my Reddit as well. So I'll just check what my last upload was and when it was. I'm also planning to do some platinum is Pokemon gameplay and stuff. Also wanna do some like really wanna do some, what do you call it? Uh, what do you call it? I know I wanted to say gameplay videos, but didn't I already say this? So I'm not sure what I wanted to say. I guess just normal audios. Oh yeah, I wasn't going to say this, but some more what do you call it? Pride and Prejudice. Okay, so 1 October was my last upload, and today's 10th October. I'm not sure which one, because I did have an audio that I was not going to post. I was going to post this on just Soundgasm and YouTube because it doesn't adhere to the rules of Pillow Talk, which I was thinking actually. I think I mentioned it in that audio, but I might end up not sharing a lot of audios for now, because I think a lot of the time I'm just wanting to talk about more serious stuff. So I think I think I'll go with some of that and upload more audios in my subreddit or in YouTube, because sometimes I think I just want to talk about some more serious stuff or some stuff that's just not generally fun to listen to as a person, but sometimes I just want to get it out of my system. So I think it'll be fine. You can always find anything I upload is always in my subreddit, which has is an interesting side effect of interesting side effect of none of my posts ever archiving because they're always in a subreddit. If you didn't know, if you post something on your own profile, you if you put anything on your profile, it always gets what do you call it, it gets archived after 6 months. But anyways, so yeah, I think I'll leave it at that. Hope you're doing good. Hope the story was interesting to you. It was not to me. I can tell you that it's not fun at least. But yeah, as I said, I've been doing a lot of work with my projects and stuff. So I'm not sure that I'll be able to upload audios very frequently for some time. I might do some working audios or whatever, but the problem is that like I have two audios right now, including this one that I haven't released. Just because I have them, I have them recorded, but I have to like edit them before not too much, but I just have to like I don't know, I just upload in so many places and I have I don't know, there's this ritual I go through which just takes a bit of time, but yeah, once I get around, I'll just upload all of them together, hopefully. So yeah, take care and hopefully see you soon. Hopefully you listen to this audio. As I said, it's 10th October today. I'm not sure when this will go up, but hopefully not too long.